Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is INX Prime Live. Remember, we are on your screens every single Monday to Friday between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Now, we are chatting to someone who is absolutely incredible, and that is Zintle Mnyaka. Now, widely known as Coach Zie, is a distinguished neuro-linguistic programming, life and executive coach. Now, she's well known for her unconventional teaching methods and her unique approach to healing hearts as well as minds. Now, Coach Zie is the founder of Blissful Farm, which is a holistic wellness retreat and team building farm located out in East London in the Eastern Cape. Now, at the farm, she focuses on self-discovery, restoration and transformation to help individuals achieve their life purposes. Now, I'm joined now by Coach Zie. Welcome and thank you to INX for joining us here at INX Prime Live.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure having you. I want to get straight into this conversation though. Look, I know that everyone has their own journey and everyone goes through life. I wanted to know how your own personal journey led to you becoming an NLP coach and a life coach in that sense, and also just to get you where you are today.
So I have been working for different companies as a consultant, and having been an executive, I was tired and I didn't realize that I was going through depression. You know, sometimes it comes in different ways. And so when I realized that, I went on a retreat. And in that retreat, it was outside the country. And when I came back, I was like, no, man, this is what I should be doing. I had started doing a coaching program, but I didn't really take it serious until I went to Thailand. And when I came back, I was like ready to actually help my co-executives and other people. So Blissful Farm started because of the fact that I was trying to answer to the calling of helping people to deal with their mental health issues.
No, that's brilliant. And I think it's such an important thing. You know, we don't talk about mental health enough in South Africa, even though it's starting to become more popular to speak about it and acceptable. It's not being spoken enough about. Just going back to Blissful Farm as well. I know you said that's the reason why you created it, but maybe perhaps you can share with us more information as to what Blissful Farm actually does and some of the services that you guys provide.
So Blissful Farm is, as you said, it's a retreat center. Actually, we even call it a retreat sanctuary. And we are about healing hearts and minds, yes. The main things are retreating for across the board now. Initially, it was for executives, but we realized that post-COVID, because we opened just before COVID, actually, and we realized that everybody post-COVID needed to retreat, needed support. And so we became this space to be able to offer retreats for people across the board. And we also offer team building for companies, corporates, and even schools. So even youth programs that we actually do just to help people heal their minds and their heart. And when your heart and mind is in congruency, I promise you everything else comes together. And so that's what we mainly do. We have a spa, we have a restaurant, we have accommodation. So when you retreat, remember, you're supposed to be away from the hustle and bustle. So that's what we offer. We sit on a 22-hectare space. So we do hikings, we do walks, we do meditations by the river, we do soul dancing. So we do a whole lot of things that would really help one to map their life. So I'm a Map for Life coach also. And the whole idea is to help people to map their life and come out of whatever they're going through.
I love that. That's very, very powerful. And I mean, just listening to you speak as well, you can hear the passion that you have for, you know, changing people's lives and impacting their lives in particular. But I just want to touch on, you know, the concept of your teaching methods as well. Now, we know that there's a conventional way that everyone teaches, but I think it's always very special and unique when someone has exactly that, a unique teaching or unconventional teaching method. I know you're one of those people in particular. Tell us a little bit more as to what differentiates your teaching method from others.
So remember, my strength or drawing is with the heart and mind. So we don't necessarily go through what is conventional, what we've been taught, you know, on how to coach. Yes, I use what is conventional, but I always find ways to connect with the person, because I realize that it's all about connecting with the person and meeting them where they are and take them to where they need to be. Hence, you know, the discovery, the restoration, and then going into transformation, because ultimately you need to become who you're meant to be.
Yeah. I mean, just also touching on the concept of, recovery and healing as well. A lot of people go through a lot of, emotional trauma or whatever it might be. And sometimes it's tough for them to actually heal from that. I know you're known as someone who actually is obviously a healer in that sense of a different note. How do you incorporate the concept of healing in the service that you provide?
So in the part of the conventional side, the unconventional side is that we would use it's an agritourism business. So we would use going to the garden, for instance, and you pick up your own food, and the more you actually interact with the soil and the plants and all that, that's healing on its own. Doing vision boards, and it's something that people don't do quite often, but the more they actually interact with a vision board, the more they realize that they are able to plan their lives, in a better way, in a more fun way. Everything that we do, there's fun, there's interaction with nature. I mean, we've got wild animals. You go and, watch the animals. You can chase them if you want, and all those things, and play with them. So for me, that's the unconventional part, is when you drive through Blissful Farm. By the time you get to meet me by the stairs, you're already feeling different. Just the drive alone. So that's the whole unconventional part of things, and the healing of different note is because we don't use the usual ways of healing.
Without a doubt, and I love that. I think it is all about the experience that you get throughout the process of the change. But just touching on this farm, it sounds incredible. You should really invite all of us here at INX Prime to come through.
I'd love to host you guys. I really would love to. That's an invitation already.
Perfect. We'd love to come and join you. But just touching on some of the work, and like you said, it involves various different pillars, and I think it's 3 of them in particular. Yes. It is like self-discovery, restoration, and transformation. Let's go through that in a kind of an understanding segment. Like, sure. How does it guide your work in terms of these 3 elements? Why is it so important?
So for me, those 3 pillars are important because sometimes we get to be into a stuck state. And in that stuck state, you don't understand what is going on. You don't know what's the core cause of what you're going through. So it is important to discover what's the trigger? If you're triggered, what triggers you? If you're going through the trauma, what is the cause or the root cause, so that you can then be able to move to restoring the pain that you're going through or the cause of that pain. Once you've restored and understood, because remember, you've now discovered what's causing you pain. From that pain, you now need to restore. Some would involve a point where you need to forgive, whether it's a family member or whether it's a colleague that caused you to be in that stuck state. From there, you need to become who you are purposed to be. So that transformational phase. So for us, you need to start first by understanding why you're where you are, where you want to go, and what the cause is. If the cause is so painful for you, before you can transform, then you need to restore. Otherwise, you're not going to get to where you want to be.
No, I love that. And I think those 3 stages play such an important role.
Sure.
Let's just touch on, you spoke about COVID-19 as well. But if we're talking about, this whole idea of people that inspire a nation, and you're definitely someone who inspires a lot of people. I always have a lot of respect and it inspires me to see entrepreneurs doing very well or business people doing well. But I actually find, entrepreneurs more inspirational if they've lost it before and they manage to gain it back again. I know you've lost it twice and you managed to come back up again. Yep. Let's talk about some of the challenges.
They say third time is a charm.
Yeah, hopefully you never have to go through another one.
Yes.
But what's the lessons that were learned? And obviously there was challenges in the process, but what was the lessons that were learned? And what advice can you give to the young people out there that want to maybe perhaps become a great businesswoman or businessman in South Africa?
Look, it's been 25 years I've been self-employed or in business, and the lessons are different every time. I think for me, they were a little bit even more extreme with COVID, because we opened on the 1st of November 2019, and we had to close down in March 2020 for 2 years. So you've just gonna have to go with the flow of things really in business, and you need to really learn that it's not always cast in stone. So when you write the business plan, which is, I think sometimes it has to be just the idea, not the business plan, because things can change. And you need to just be adaptable to the change that you go through. So for me, it was about changing because now COVID-19 had brought us into a standstill. We didn't have an income, for instance, for 2 years, but then we still had to pay a bond and I paid my employees, I think, for the first 3 months of COVID from my own pocket, and yet we were not trading. So it's merely about adapting, really, nothing else. You just need to learn that whatever it is that you want to do, that there's steps to it, and when those steps have been disturbed, you need to then say, okay, what's plan? I always have plan A, plan B, plan C for anything that we do, so that we can then be able to succeed in what you want to do. So main thing, be able to adapt. I think that's the main thing into whatever that might come. There's a lot of challenges in business. Lack of funding becomes one of them, because then you've got an idea, and your idea is way beyond what you have in your pocket. So it means if you can't get the help, then other things don't actually come through. And not using your money that you've made for other things, but reinvesting in your business so that you can create the legacy that you want. That's the important part.
I love this advice, and I think it's so important. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on INX Prime Live.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure having you guys. That is Zintle Mnyaka in particular. Now, she is actually an NLP life and executive coach, and she always emphasizes the fact that, no matter what, it's all about being flexible as an entrepreneur, making sure that you have the ability and the capacity to pivot in any situation, and that's going to make you really successful.